Well, appreciate being here. Always exciting time of year for all of us really that love college football, and we have a lot of reasons to be optimistic at Central. We coming off a solid season, and we got a lot of players coming back. We have a lot of experience. I think anytime you got your starting quarterback coming back, and especially when he performed like he did a year ago, you're excited about that. But just what I've noticed since the season, really immediately after the season was over, we had a really great core of kids on the team that have displayed leadership and accountability, responsibility, and really are really focused on what they want to accomplish. And so it's been a very fruitful off season, and that's the exciting thing from my perspective as a coach is the way we've approached our recruiting and so forth. With the high school players is you get a chance to see them develop, and that's sort of the cornerstone of our program is to develop players, recruit locally, and develop players, and just like these two gentlemen here, and when they get their opportunity to display what the work ethic and goal setting that they've established, and to see it come to fruition is really exciting for me. Having said that, we still have a lot to prove at Central with where we are with our program. I think we've demonstrated that we're a good program week in and week out. We have our sights set to be among the top programs in the country, and we don't apologize for that. But all that means is that you set the bar high, and you have a lot to prove week in and week out, particularly in our conference. And so I think there's a respect element, in terms of trying to do that. You have to earn it, you have to prove it, and that's been, sort of what we've embodied is that you got to earn it every single day. And we have, and we'll get tested right away, that's for sure. I'm not sure anybody's had, arguably, it could be the toughest first 5 games that anybody's ever played in Division II. When you look at our opponents, there's within the last several years, there's 3 national championships in that group. There is every one of them been postseason and postseason recently, and several programs that are arguably among the most storied programs in Division II. So we'll get that opportunity to see where we're at right away. We're excited about that opportunity. We have to play everybody in the league at some point, and the fact that we're playing at least on paper at this point in time, you really don't know, who's going to be ranked where in 12 weeks from that first game. But the way it looks now is we're going to get an opportunity to see right where we're at right out of the gate.
All right, we'll begin with questions for players.
For Austin Miller. Austin, a new defensive coordinator. Talk a little bit about adjusting to a new coordinating position, and talk a little bit about what this defense is going to be like this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Bell's coming in new this year after we made the transition this spring, get a new D coordinator. The defense, we're going from a 4-3 to a 3-4, so a few things are changing. In my mind personally, from what I know about the defense so far, we're simpling a few things down, kind of taking the thinking out of a few things, and allowing our athletes that we have all over the field to really play and show their true talents and make plays all over the field.
Garrett, just talk a little bit about, kind of learning on the field last year, but what do you expect from the MIAA this season? It's going to be great defensively. Just kind of how do you prepare? What's your week like going in? I mean, especially starting with a big opponent.
Yeah, well, last year it really helped me to get some experience, and obviously I felt like I was ready because I had always kind of prepared like I was going to start even as a freshman and sophomore. But you can't teach game experience, and having that and having played in some big games last year, some close ones, winning some, and having a couple tough losses, I think is going to really help me in the whole offense next year, especially starting a big game at Pitt. But we got a lot of experience. I think top 4 pass catchers are all back, and that really helps, especially on a big stage, kind of calm those nerves and get you ready to just go out there and play. And I think we're going to be ready.
Austin, you obviously get to see one of the better quarterbacks in the league every week on the defensive side, but talk about having a guy like Garrett and how that prepares you to face some of the other guys in the league that have had great seasons.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely gives us some of the best looks that we could ask for, because Garrett being one of the best dual threat quarterbacks there is in our league in Division II, we really get to prepare for many of the other guys in our league who likewise do the same thing. So having him play across from us really prepares us for that, kind of new style of quarterback play that we're seeing every week.
Garrett, talk a little bit about building chemistry with receivers. How much happens in camp where you learn, what guy is going to be in what place and kind of what you can expect if things break down?
Yeah, I think that starts probably in the off season, right? Off season workouts we try to throw almost every day, and then over the summer especially, and then that just kind of rolls right into camp. You kind of know how everyone's going to be, kind of get a feel for all your receivers, and then camp obviously helps. You get to see when the pads are on, what players can make what kind of plays, and who you can really rely on and stuff, and that's huge for going into game day, because when everything starts happening, you need to be able to rely on those guys, and we definitely have a good core group of receivers that I can rely on.
All right, further questions for players? All right, we'll begin now with questions for Coach.
Coach, offensive line, you got 3 guys back from last year. You got to replace a couple of spots. You have a lot of depth offensively at every position. What about that offensive line?
Well, I think in our conference, I think that's where it starts. And, that's been the challenge when I took over in 2010, was to build some depth on the offensive line. And that starts with recruiting the right body types. And our philosophy is to recruit a kid that's got a frame, that's got athleticism, and then build him in the weight room. And that's what, honestly, it's probably taken longer than I thought it would, but we're in a good spot with that right now. And you mentioned the guys, we have 3 starters back with Derek Pooney and Chris Gomez and Lane Fisher. Those are really good MIAA football players. And then we have, some young guys that, I talked about development that we're going to bring along that have similar frames. And we had a really strong recruiting class with offensive linemen. So I'm excited about that position. That's where it starts. I mean, if you're going to get exposed sooner or later, if you can only trick them so much if you don't have 5 good players up front.
Coach, talk about the mentality you're going to have coming in, open up the season in a hostile environment, knowing you're probably going to have to come out and play close to your best football right away.
Well, it's a good motivator, I can tell you that. I don't have to remind the players of, the schedule. In fact, I think sometimes you talk yourself into how difficult it's going to be, and it still comes down to how you play and how you prepare and your mentality, and that's where our focus is got to be. You can talk all you want about who's coming up, but it still comes down to execution, and execution comes down to how you prepare. And so it's really a daily process, and focusing on that, and that's where your leadership really comes into play, because they have to make sure that's going on in practice.
Coach, could you talk about the opportunity of getting to play Northwest down at Arrowhead this year?
Well, I got to thank Mel Churchma and the Chiefs for working diligently to make that happen. Didn't know if it was going to for a while. It was hard for me to keep my mouth shut for as long as we had to not get our players' hopes up and not have it happen. And so with as many local kids, I've heard a lot, this is a dream come true type of thing. But again, you're excited for that for a lot of different reasons. It's it's a really special venue. We clearly have a lot of alums in the Kansas City area on both teams. That's exciting. I think you bring a bigger audience to the type of football that we play in the MIAA. That's exciting. But at the same time, it's still a 100-yard field, and you still have to do the things you need to do to be successful. And so, but that's what you play for. I mean, you play for big games like that. You play for, postseason opportunities and playing great competition. If you're worth your salt at all as a competitor, as an athlete, you welcome those things, and that's really where all your preparation starts, is what do we have to do to beat the best teams in the country.
I guess to push that further for both the players, talk about getting a chance to play in Arrowhead.
Yeah, I mean, that's, especially for me and Austin, both being local kids, that's something that you do dream about when you're young. I mean, going to Chiefs games growing up and doing the tomahawk chop and all that stuff, and just seeing the atmosphere that that stadium has all the time, that's something that you think about. And we got to see Northwest and Pitt have played there, obviously, in the past while I've been in the conference, and that's always a game you kind of, as a player on another team, you want to watch because it's a cool opportunity for the players and the teams, and we're really excited to do it and get to play a good team. And it's week 5. I think that'll be a pretty big matchup, so we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely agree with everything you said. I mean, the venue itself, especially for us being local kids and going there growing up, going to some Chiefs games, that's exciting in itself. But other than that, obviously, I mean, it's a huge game for us. You know, it's kind of heading towards the middle of that season against a conference rival, and you know, you can't really make things like that up. I mean, you'll be excited from it from week 1, but we're definitely going to take it one game at a time, and once we get there, it'll be just as exciting as ever. So.